Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
Canelo exposed by Bivol proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of Canelo exposed by Bivol's fans. And yes, you heard that right. For the next week or so, I'm changing my channel name. Don't call me True School Sports. Don't call me the Untouchable for like a whole week. The name to this channel is Canelo exposed by Bivol. Now, this is my post-fight review, my late post-fight thoughts on Canelo versus Bivol. And look, man, it's such a glorious day in the sport of boxing when Canelo Alvarez and his fans get one big fat reality check, because going into the fight, Canelo was a 4-1 favorite. Bivol was a 4-1 underdog. And all we heard about was how Canelo is this and Canelo is that. There was a lot of disrespect being placed on Bivol as fans and media at the fight constantly overlooked him, talking about Benavidez, talking about all these other fighters, talking about a third Golovkin fight, talking about John Ryder, talking about Craig Richards versus Buatsi. And it was just the ultimate form of disrespect. Bivol, the champion at light heavyweight, they made him walk out first, which is it's rare. It's happened before, but it's rare in boxing, and there was very little respect being shown to him. So much so to the point that they couldn't even do the right thing by just playing this man's national anthem. I know there's politics going on, but still, you show respect to the guy that's putting his life on the line. So I have zero remorse. You know, Canelo got exposed. We've known for a long time that he could be outboxed. You know, Caleb Plant showed that in spots of their fight. But he hadn't really fought a boxer quite as good as Bivol as far as the technical skills with the feints and just a combination of the attributes he brings to the table since like Floyd Mayweather, you know, and Mayweather was a smaller guy who was out of his prime. This guy was a bigger guy who was in his prime. So I'm just happy for Bivol. A true star was born in the sport. You know, he made Canelo look like an average-ass fighter, which, you know, I'm not going to say he's an average-ass fighter, but he's never really been as good as advertised. And when a fighter isn't as good as advertised, they call that being overrated. They call that being, you know, overrated. And I've always thought Canelo was overrated. People want to... It's funny how in a day or two, how quickly the narratives can change in boxing. Like a couple of days before the Canelo fight with Bivol, all we heard was, well, Canelo is so good. We heard that he was so good that, you know, fuck Bivol, he can move up to a cruiserweight and beat Alexander Usyk. And some people took that and ran with it. You know, when he was going to fight Makabu at cruiserweight, people were saying that, oh, well, you know, he's going to become a cruiserweight champion. But the reality is this. Canelo Alvarez has never been a puncher like that. I think people over the last couple fights at super middleweight against Smith and Saunders and Plant, you know, those guys were all champions, yes, but those guys were never big punchers. Those guys were the kind of fighters that Canelo was always going to be comfortable against, even if they landed, because of the fact that, you know, those guys don't really have a big punch, and they don't really throw a lot of punches either. Even Caleb Plant, who I picked, you know, Caleb Plant, he wasn't the man I thought he was. And he didn't have the confidence in himself that I thought he had when he fought Canelo. Bivol, on the other hand, I gotta give all the credit in the world to him, because he said the whole time, he said, you know, Canelo is not untouchable, because that's me. Well, that was me. For this week, I'm Canelo exposed by Bivol. But, you know, for the most of my time, I've been the untouchable. He called himself the untouchable. He pretty much said that he pretty much walked around like nobody could beat him. He thought, you know, it was his time, and he got a little bit too big for his bridges. And this has been the case with Canelo for quite a long time. And, you know, Bivol was everything that his promoters, his managers, and like Pernell Whitaker said he was, and I'll do a video on that later. But yeah, Canelo Alvarez, for anybody who really watches boxing, you guys know that he was never like this big puncher that he ultimately became at 168. Like, he fought Matthew Hatton, he couldn't get him out of there. He was a welterweight. He went the distance with GGG, never dropped Jacobs. You know, he's not like that. And when you put a guy like Bivol in front of him, who's an extraordinary boxer, you see why he avoided guys like Andre. You see why maybe he didn't really give the Charlo fight much consideration. You see these things. But, you know, I can sleep peacefully now, because now, like I've always said, Canelo was never pound for pound number one. He was a media creation, and y'all were brainwashed and believed all the lies. Like, I've always said, if you go back and check my track record, I've always said that the pound for pound number one, it's interchangeable. But after Chocolatito lost to Rungvisai a couple years ago, I always said it was always Usyk or Crawford. It was always Usyk or Crawford. You can pick either one you want, but it's not Canelo, because he never really. People always say that he showed all this improvement when he beat Floyd, and I said no, not quite. I mean, he got a bit more patient, but his style and his tendencies were always the same. He was a high guard fighter who really didn't use the jab a whole lot, and he's the same. He was the same fighter. The only way I was gonna ever agree with that Canelo changed was if he had actually beaten, a top flight, A-level boxer. He beat Plant, which was a good one. I give him credit for that, but I give him a lot of credit for that actually, because I picked Plant, so I can't be a hypocrite. But he just didn't. To me, he didn't really show on a consistent enough basis for me to say he had fully changed as a fighter. The guys that would have really got me to believe that he did change as a fighter if he beat them would have been like Bivol or like an Andrade. He never wanted to fight Andrade, and he lost to Bivol. So look, I'm not going to diminish his accomplishments. He's accomplished what he's accomplished in boxing. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame, whether I like it or you guys like it or not. But he was never, ever, 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 ever as good as advertised. And God bless Dmitry Bivol. God bless Bivol for saving the sport of boxing. He saved the sport of boxing, because it's been constant narratives. It's been a very toxic place here on YouTube. I've received no end of toxic comments from Canelo fans over the years, and you can't have an objective opinion about Canelo. You got to either agree that he was pound for pound number one or not. Because these fascists on here, these dictators, the Canelo fan base, they want you to believe what they want to believe. But no, you're not going to silence free thought. And I'm glad Bivol did what he did, because Bivol, like I told you guys a couple months ago, Bivol is the purest boxer in the sport, and that he was going to be a handful for Canelo Alvarez, and he was much more than a handful. Fuck, that was damn near. That was a sparring session. Bivol did just about as good as Floyd. He did just about as good as Floyd Mayweather did, because he was pushing him back. He just dominated the fight. So I'm gonna have a whole lot to say about, Canelo Alvarez and this fight. How everything played out, the aftermath. We'll talk about Bivol a lot as well. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. Canelo exposed. He's not like that. He was never on that level. He was never an A-level light heavyweight. You guys gassed up the Kovalev win to no end. When I and many other boxing fans told you guys Sergey Kovalev was past his best, we knew that, but he just fought Anthony Yarde. So yeah, it was a good win on paper, but it wasn't a good win in context, and context matters. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Stay tuned for more videos here on Canelo Exposed by Bivol, because we're not True School right now. We're Canelo Exposed by Bivol. So for the next week or so, address me by that name. But you guys leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button, and surely you will not be disappointed. True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here. Boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God.